yet. What's up with that?
Well, there's also the situation going on here in California where the city of Huntington Beach has refused to take any migrants and refused to deal with you know, building or buying hotels and stuff to put the homeless and stuff in. So Governor Newscomb, as
Newscomb is
some call
right.
him, Newscomb, sued the city of Huntington Beach, and then was it the Fifth or Ninth Circuit Court agreed with Newsom?
Oh,
That's ridiculous, man. Of course it
So they
did.
lost their suit.
Because it's a totally lefty fucking court in the first place. But
I remember there was stories too about like homeless shelters being like they're basically kicking out homeless people to be like, nope, we need to put migrants in here.
not only homeless, but also veteran
Crazy.
homeless. They had rented out hotels specifically for veteran homeless, and then emptied those hotels of homeless veterans and replaced them with migrants instead. Because the city would pay more for migrants.
Fact on that subject is that the courts have forced Sharon Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, to continue to build onto the veterans. There's a veterans home in Los Angeles. It's a big one. They started construction of new apartments for them, and then diverted the money off to deal with homeless, and then the courts actually said, no, you can't do that because it's federal funds that's already been allocated for that. So you got to start construction back up again.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, California could possibly become a swing state.
That'll be the day.
I am actually seeing some real changes, grassroots changes coming. It's surprising. I hope it continues, but the voting age of 18 to 45 have had enough of the bullshit here, and they are the number of registrations for the Republican Party has increased by almost 30%.
My God.
They're switching away from the commie, what's his face?
Newscomb?
No, the senator.
Chuck Schumer.
No. The guy that went to Russia and had his marriage there and all that shit. I forget his name now off the top of my head.
Anthony Weiner? No, that was China.
You're
I'm
just
sorry. That was China.
Names here now. No, you mentioned his name earlier in your stream.
The watermelon head.
The old guy that sat there at the inauguration, bundled up, grumpy looking.
That's Chuck Schumer. I'm pretty sure.
Looking. No, he was going to run for president. Bernie Sanders. That's
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie. Because everybody, all the Latino population in my area were really Bernie fans because he was going to give
socialism. Yeah, they want the money. They want the free money from the government. Give me.
Well, they realize that it ain't going to come, and now they're disillusioned, and they're looking at, well, we want to work. We don't want high taxes. We want to raise families. We don't,
yeah.
We're tired of the high cost of everything.
Well, it takes living in this country for a few years in order to realize the problem with our socialist policies. So
but the thing is these people aren't really immigrants. They've been here for 3-4 generations. They've raised their kids, and they're beginning to see that there's a problem with just the welfare society.
Yep. And it's hard too. But we'll bring up Thatcher, right? I mean, I think the quote with that's a good one. It's somewhere is that socialism works great until everybody else's money runs out. You know,
Right, right.
and that's
It's a
kind of
simple, it's really a simple math problem when you get right down to it. Let's say you have a gallon of water, and under socialism, you might have 5 people that don't have water. So you portion off that by 6 parts. You keep 1/6, you give 5 parts of it away. Okay, well, the way the situation is right now, people still only have a gallon of water. But now we have to give it to 30 million people.
Exactly. So everybody gets a little sip.
yeah. Yep. No, that's the thing is socialism doesn't create wealth, it just distributes it. Or capitalism creates wealth. Just doesn't do as good of a job as distributing it. But
Well,
that's a
humbug.
feature, not a bug.
I was
It's
gonna
a
say.
feature, not a bug. And I'm going to, before anybody gets too much on it, is that the whole point behind it is that the resources go to the people that use it most efficiently in order to create more resources.
It goes to the people who want it the
So
most and who are willing to fight and vie for it the most. Yeah, absolutely. And so, what ends up being the problem with what Wally's talking about is you only have so much pie and there's so many people fucking eating at it. Is people get overlooked, and so what is the Democrats' fucking solution to that? Is let's highlight and how do we say this? Is put up on a pedestal to venerate uh, uh, brown and black people instead, and then absolutely ignore white people. Like what happened in the hills of North Carolina. They got hit by a fucking hurricane. Ain't never been hit by a goddamn hurricane. Got hit by a hurricane, absolutely decimated all their towns, all of their infrastructure, all of their homes, washed away in the fucking river, and nobody gives a shit anymore because whatever. The second hurricane ended up coming from the western side of the Gulf of Mexico and striking across Florida, hit Florida again. Everybody's concerned about Florida. But it's like Florida has dealt with this time and time again. They have a huge infrastructure to deal with this kind of stuff. They deal with it every year. I think they're going to be okay. They also have a massive tourism industry, and there's going to be a whole lot of private capital involved in making sure that Florida is okay. But when you look at the hills of North Carolina, there isn't any of that private capital. There isn't any tourism. There isn't anything out there. There used to be coal mines. We stopped mining coal because of the goddamn environmentalists. There's nothing out there anymore. So nobody gives a fuck. You got guys with horses dragging fucking boxes behind his horse and his mule to try and help people get food and fucking water out in fucking North Carolina. And why are we not concerned about that? Because it's the hills of North Carolina and it's a bunch of white people. That's why. That's why. If it was a bunch of black people out there, it'd be different. If it was a bunch of Latino people out there, it'd be different. I think that's fucked up, dude. I really do.
yeah, trying to fix past and the only way you can fix past racism is with current racism. Right?
Exactly. Ibram X. Kendi it said that. That's exactly what he said. It takes current racism, right?
Nope, and that's exactly not true.
Well, the wife and I had a serious conversation here a couple of hours ago. I found this article about the states of in the United States and which ones are the best to live in as a retirement, as a retiree. And Kansas was number one, which was kind of odd, but mainly because of the taxes and sales tax and other things is what they based it on, along with availability of medical. For me, medical is a big thing because I suffer from this disease. I guess it's a disease. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. And my wife will not move any place where there isn't Kaiser. So we went through this list and kind of looked at it because we're facing a problem here in California. with the propositions that were on the ballot, most of them were deceitfully written. It's going to, if any of them are passed, it's going to raise taxes in California by as much as 30%. They may do away with Prop 13, which keeps our property taxes really, really low. We pay roughly about $400 a year property taxes on this house, which is paid for, right? I shouldn't even have to pay property taxes on it because it's paid for.
Yeah, that's fucked. No, you own it, so
But
because you own it, you owe the government money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It would
You don't really
literally
own it.
It would literally raise our property taxes to about $4,000 a year, which would put a serious dent in our budget. And then with Kamala, knowing the fact that if she gets elected, then federal taxes will go up, and she will get the tax on on capital gains done, and then we'll be screwed because we bought our house for $29,500,
and it always appreciates in value. It always goes up,
and it's already worth about $650,000. That
Good
means we have to
God.
pay the taxes on that $650,000, which would literally bankrupt us, and we'd be forced to sell the house. So we started looking at this list, and there's a couple of states that stand out: Tennessee, Kentucky,
Yep.
South Carolina, Southern Illinois.
I think once you pay your house off in Kentucky,
Indiana.
you don't have to pay any more property taxes. I'm pretty sure.
There we go. That's where you want to go.
Your sales tax in Kentucky is what?
6%.
5%?
6%.
6%?
Yep.
Yeah. See,
There
there's one state the sales tax is what is it? It was
they get up
4.225%, and I'm going, how in the hell do they figure that out at the register?
They just program it.
Most people can't do simple math.
Fucking Tennessee don't have no income tax, so that's cool. Indiana, I think, is good on property taxes. They're low on property taxes in Indiana, so I've been thinking about those two. Like I'm thinking about it. I can go southern Indiana. I can go northern Tennessee. And still be close to my family.
We know people in Tennessee. We know people in Kentucky. We know people in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma looks pretty good because of the weather, and it's just such a beautiful state. Eastern Oklahoma is beautiful. Western Oklahoma, but yeah. Eastern Oklahoma is beautiful.
Well, you're getting close to the remnants of the Ohio Mississippi Valley right there. So
yeah. I mean, it's green, it's lush, it's and we can buy a piece of property there, roughly about 12 acres and a nice home too, for about $225,000. So.
That is so much money. That is so much money, man.
If things turn south, man, I'm finally going to leave the state that I love so much.
I hear you.
Because they've just fucked it up.
I hear you.
One of the things also looking at Tennessee, you can
What's the internet like there in Kentucky, though?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Probably fantastic. Yeah, I was going to say, got nothing better to do.
Well, in Louisville, it's great. I can't speak to the rural areas, but.
Well, do me a favor. If you have any information on internet providers there in Kentucky, would you put it in my Discord for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you all we got. There's only 3 or 4. Oh.
Well,
because I need 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
If you're looking at Tennessee,
to maintain my servers and everything else, and still have enough bandwidth to do what I like to do.
Sure, they offer those types of services. You might have to engage in a corporate contract or whatever, but
if you're looking at Tennessee, just stay away from the cities. try to stick a little further
Oh,
away
we
because they're
we
blue.
want to get out in the rural areas as much as we
Okay,
can.
well, Middle Tennessee is going to be my main suggestion if you're looking at Tennessee in general. I got a property up there, and actually, there's two properties, one in Middle and one in Knoxville, and yeah, I'm here in Alabama, and I try to visit Tennessee more and more often here lately.
I still have remnants of family in Ohio. That was kind of one of the states that they also talked about too. But and I still have some friends that live in Bloomington, in Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah. I'm thinking more the Clarksville, Jeffersonville area. I want to stay close to Louisville. My family's from pretty much centers around Louisville these days.
I wouldn't mind a city as long as it's a small city like I live in right now. You know,
Right. So Jeffersonville, Clarksville are
community.
Jeffersonville and Clarksville are small cities on the other side of the river from Louisville, the big city. Louisville's the big city in that situation, and it's not a very big city when you compare it to something like Philadelphia or Chicago. But
I look at it like this, my wife and I are both social people. We like having people, friends and stuff. So I want to move someplace where I can network and I can get in with community projects and different things like that,
for sure,
and not just be just this expat from California that everybody hates.
oh, I hear you. I mean, we got veteran communities abound, and Legion and vets. There's American Eagles and what is it? The Masons. So we got all that, and then I'm involved in the Legion. My uncle was involved in AMVETS. I should probably be involved in AMVETS. I need to go back to those guys. They helped a lot with his funeral.
Well, I was a member of the Lions at one time, the Rotary Club at one time when I had a business, a storefront business. Still active in the American Legion, although the Legion's gotten kind of political, and I'm kind of I'm waiting until after the elections before I go back to the post because it's a little hostile. Sometimes.
Dude, my American Legion post is the biggest flag burial in the country every year in July. So we have great respect for the flag. I don't know. I take pride in that, but that's out in J-Town though. That's in the suburbs of Louisville. It's where I grew up. That's where my parents live. It still is a somewhat small town, but 5 o'clock you're not gonna move anywhere on the fucking roads, so it's getting crowded. But
well, the wife and I don't work.
Yeah.
Well, my wife is gone almost every day. She's got something she's doing either with the auxiliary or with friends and stuff. So
yeah, I miss that stuff, man. I need to get back into it. I'm working. Well, I shouldn't even say that. I'm working in proximity to one of the charities, but
I saw an advertisement for technicians for BioLab.
Oh yeah,
a medical facility, BioLab. They're looking for technicians nationwide.
No shit.
Unfortunately, it's on my phone, and you can't send an email. Can't send it to my email that I could share it with you. Unfortunately.
That's okay.
It's bloody goddamn ads on my phone.
BioLab. Yeah. I've been out of the lab. I've been out of the lab for
stuff like that.
I've been out of the lab for 15 years. The whole fucking world has probably changed by now. I'd have to take the board of registry.
Yeah, but it wouldn't take you much to go back into that field because you have some roots in it. So
yeah, some. I have about 4 years experience in it. Too. That's not a lot.
It pays pretty good too. Yeah. So
I know it does.
You gonna dye your roots now?
I did. I spent 4 years in the Air Force as a medical laboratory technician. So I could probably do it. But I honestly, I found the ASCP certification easy when I came out of the Air Force, and it's like they told me that was the hard one to get, and I was like, I'll go get that one, and then I'll get a job for sure. And I got the certification, and I couldn't find a fucking job.
Well, it was like me. I got out with all this electronics experience, and I had a security clearance so bloody high I couldn't go into the field. I had to wait 10 years. And by then, I'd already had, a couple of businesses that had nothing to do with electronics, and it took a long time before I could get back into the field. And when I did, I spent 20 years in it and did okay.
Nice. I don't know. I've been out of it for a long time. It'd be hard to get back. I've been out of the web development game for less time, and I think it would probably be easier to return to that. So I think that's what my plan is going to be. I'm trying to build that for the security team I'm working for right now.
Good advice that I'm seeing with that nowadays is don't be afraid to use AI.
Yeah, I know that.
Right? And I feel like I haven't really tested the market with that too, but somebody going in saying, yeah, I work well with AI in order to develop my websites, that's actually seen as a plus, right? Because they see you as being efficient that way and not, so it's fun. It's like people are like, oh, AI is going to take code, is going to remove coders. And it's like, no, it's not. It's actually just going to make them better. That's all it does.
More
like any other tool. Yeah, it's another tool.
More tools. Yeah. It's just like today, I was thinking about buying a service monitor and go back into just, repairing people's radios and stuff again as a contractor for U.S. Forest Service and California DGS.
Yeah.
Just for something to do, because I after the stream's over, I sit, and if it's not a project that I'm already working on, I don't have anything else to do, so I'm just sitting here doing nothing. So I want to stay active. I want to stay busy.
My granddad had the same problem when he retired, and one of the things he ended up doing was becoming a handyman for a local bourbon museum. So he was a drinker. He appreciated the history of bourbon, and so he went to this museum and told them, he's a skilled carpenter and knew how to do plumbing and electrical and whatnot. So they brought him on as a handyman, and he did that till the day he was fucking bedridden. And I appreciate that a lot because the building that they had bought for this museum used to be a church, and there was a worship room, and there was a piano in the worship room that was in a particular weird design. It was like a fucking like a late 1800s, early 1900s kind of half mix between a baby grand and a stand-up piano. And I could.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, and he would let me go in there and fucking play it. And that was good times for me. I don't know. I thought it was awesome. He also gave me.
Just brought out another model of keyboard too.
Did they?
Yeah. I get advertisements and stuff, different posts and emails and stuff from Yamaha, Roland, and a couple other manufacturers.
Roland and Yamaha are top notch shit, man. I'll take any of those any day. I got a Roland Juno keyboard over here. That's my favorite keyboard. I don't know. I just to find something to occupy his time, like he was contributing to the history of the community. It was Bardstown. Bardstown is a very historic community in our town, in our state. Huge contributors to bourbon, and Claremont's very nearby. A lot of the people who worked in Claremont at the distilleries lived in Bardstown over the course of history. So, I don't know. That was cool. He spent the waning years of his life sort of preserving the history of our culture as Kentuckians. But that's something to think about, right? Like it could be something simple like that. That's just preserving the history of San Bernardino, right? And what was good there and what attracted you there in the first place, you know? So that's an idea.
Oh, there's already several really good books. In fact, I have them about the history of San Bernardino. Even my little town, which used to be nothing but a goat trail.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day, that's all it was. It's just a goat trail through a farm, great big farm.
I've been really enjoying that lately in my pursuits. Like, for one of my breaks, we were sitting there talking about maybe going places. I ended up in Missouri, and is that right? So, yeah, Missouri. And there was this one place where they were talking about a tour where this town got built up basically based on an iron mine. So there was a bunch of iron ore in the area, and the guy built a mine and started mining the ore. And then eventually he had a smelting plant, and then he ended up getting, then there was a bunch of places to forge all of it, and it became one of Missouri's biggest iron shops in the state, and it was all just one guy just getting lucky and discovering, iron deposit and taking it from there. So it's fascinating how, one person can change history like that.
Yeah. It's nuts. Alesto says, speaking of tools, EOD's face is a tool. Well, go fuck yourself, Alesto. Oh, goodness sakes. Well, how did y'all like Tucker Carlson interviewing Trump tonight?
Fun.
Good times, man.
I have to finish watching the Rogan Vance interview.
Yeah, I got that on my playlist. I haven't even touched it yet.
I know,
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
watched
either. I
about-
want to see it.
I watched about 35 minutes of it. It was pretty good, and I got to watch the rest of it.
That was 3 hours too, according to the timestamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a while. Oh man, I'm sure JD Vance did fantastic. I haven't seen any of it yet. I haven't even seen a bit of it. I want to though. The dude on Theo Vaughn was fucking amazing. JD Vance on Sean Spicer was amazing. He even talked to fucking what's his name, Lex Friedman. Shit blew my mind.
So, another thing on the playlist, which sounds could be fun, is Destiny did the 1 versus 25. So that should provide some very amusing content.
I doubt it.
I wonder
Wait
if
a minute, his
Destiny
girlfriend did 1 on 25. That sounds about normal.
Well, yeah, no, that happened a few years ago, but yeah, no, this is Destiny doing the 1 versus 25.
Oh, gosh, my domain is up for renewal.
Oh no.
I call him Cuxtony. His name is Cuxtony.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's cheap. I don't care. It's fine. Oh, easy budget.
What I had a good time with the Shapiro 1 on 25. It's just that Shapiro is just like, he was being nice, like overly nice. it was like he didn't sit there and try to go hard on anybody or really try to get digs on one. He's just like having a grand old. He's like shot down every last one of them too. Like not a single one I think did well, uh, and yet he did it with a smile on his face and like I don't know, just killed him with kindness in many ways. And I just thought that was so fascinating how he was able to get that to work without coming across as an ass.
Damn, man, this thing is.
Like to
Wow,
wrap up was kind of fun. I was hoping
what a bunch of
we'll wait for EOD to
bullshit,
come
man.
back.
I ordered some cat food because we can't get it at local pet stores.
Whoa.
And it's the only damn thing, the only thing my cat will eat, dry food.
I can hear you.
Yeah, that
And
pisses me off.
I ordered
wanna,
it.
like-
I ordered it like October 15th, and it still hasn't got here. It keeps getting delayed.
I find it crazy too.
At least there's a FedEx number this time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There are two big studio monitors behind my displays. I can hear you anywhere in my house.
Oh, fair enough. No. I just like trying to tie it up. One of my favorite guilty pleasure right now is that there's this channel out there that have trained AI bots in special topics, and they have the bots go at each other in a debate.
Yeah, I've seen that. That guy's hilarious. I got kicked out of his chat one time.
Well, no. I'm not talking about the Twitch like Trump versus Kamala AI bots.
That's what I'm talking about.
These are like so. Yeah, those are fun too. Don't get me wrong. I think that's hilarious because you can also talk to them and then they interact with the chat crowd. No, this is basically these are like there was one on abortion. So they trained an AI bot as pro life, and then they trained an AI bot as pro choice, and they basically just let them talk to each other.
Interesting.
So, and the conversation you get they're good. Like I can hands down say that that's one job that AI might take over is leftist debaters because they're much better at it. They don't interrupt. They actually stay on point. They don't gaslight so much. Sometimes they gish gallop. Sometimes they don't answer directly to the point, but still 100 times better than almost every Twitch lefty debater.
Well, here's the problem with that is what you're going to do is you're going to reveal how vapid and vaporous the fucking left's arguments are. So it's not going to work.
Well, that can happen too, but at least you're getting a debate out of it instead of just a refest.
Indeed.
Well, take Oklahoma off the list.
Uh-oh. You
Why is
found
that?
something bad about Oklahoma?
Oklahoma State Superintendent sends Harris 474 billion for border crisis.
Dear Lord.
Jeez.
I've been to Oklahoma before. Never want to go back.
It ain't nothing but fucking flat earth anyway.
Dude. Well, no. Now, hold on. There is
the
a
eastern
couple
side
little
has
bumps.
some leftover the Ozarks and lots of lakes to go fishing and boating on. And
Well, lakes are nice.
The
We
main
have
thing
plenty
with
of those, too.
Oklahoma is crooked trees because the wind's always blowing and they're crooked trees.
Can't abide them crooked trees. Oh man, yeah, no, we definitely have plenty of lakes over here in Kentucky. So I appreciate that. I do like the lakes. I like the hills. I can't stand flat land. I couldn't stand that about Mississippi. I was down in South Mississippi, the absolute southern tip of Mississippi, and I could not abide the fucking flatness of the land. It was boring to a mind-numbing extent as you're driving down the freeway. But it was like that for miles, for like 150 miles north from the Gulf. All Mississippi is flat as it can fucking be. I can't stand it. My parents dealt with that when they came down to see me in fucking, what was it? Not, oh shit. Shepherd is in Wichita Falls. Right. Not Wichita, Wichita Falls, which is near Wichita, but on the Texas side. So, yeah, that was a flat as fuck place too. And then they had to drive through all Oklahoma to get
wants
there.
to pass a bill or a law, not a bill, a law, edict from above, forcing people to take in homeless into your home.
Forcing people to take in homeless?
Yep.
Jesus.
That's a violation of 5A.
It is. Well, yeah, one of
Well, it's I feel it's akin to the quartering soldiers.
yeah. I don't know if that's 5 though. 3 or 4.
It might be 4A.
It might be 4. Yeah, 5 is
4.
5 is I'm immune from incriminating myself in court, right?
Yeah. It's 4. Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the 10 though. It's one of the first 10.
Well, Reform California has a post here on YouTube. Where welfare housing coming to your neighborhood?
Well, since we've kind of touched base on North Carolina and Tennessee situation, there's something that's coming that nobody's talking about that's going to be yet another travesty and a hardship that's going to be put on these victims. The topography of that area has been changed. Roadways washed. Rivers have literally, widened. Now, just think about how much land's about to be seized by the government through different means to rebuild roadways and rerun roadways because they're not going to put them near the rivers anymore. A lot of people's about to lose a shit ton of property.
Yeah. That's tyranny right there.
Well, you remember that the federal government took over all waterways, a year ago. They already own 30% of the land mass in this country and water.
Did they at least pay fair market value like that's required?
Of course not. You show me a government, any property taken by the government at fair market value. Good luck with that.
It used to be a thing. Like it used to be if you were the last guy on the block to sell, you got to sell for lots of money because that
you're selling to a private company. That might be true, but selling to the government's a different story.
They'll just condemn it and pay you whatever they want.
Legislate you out of it, yeah.
Now, what I found that's happening in Illinois, which I think is also happening in other places, is that there's laws basically on the books, like for condos, that if you reach like 80%, there's a certain percentage of people who are willing to sell the condo to turn it into apartments, that the other 20% doesn't get a say at that point. Like you have to sell. And so what's happening is you're getting, it takes time and effort, but you're getting these companies to basically go in and start buying up, like 50 to 60%, or, maybe just 30 or 40, a decent amount of the apartment, and then start instituting, campaigns to be like, oh, we should go, we should go rental and get our money for our condos. Oh, hey, just think of what you could do with all that money you're going to get for selling it. But basically the idea is to force 20% of people out of their condo, just because the law only requires 80% out of it. And so it's pretty interesting how people can just basically force, even that way, you can force people into selling when they don't want to.
Hell, they're forcing farmers out of their farms too.
We have
an article here on Fox about it.
They were talking about, I forget what that conversation come up earlier, where it was dealing with capital gains tax. unrealized earnings. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was another channel. But they were sitting there talking about that's a big it's never going to happen, the unrealized capital gains tax, but that would destroy small farmers because
It'll
they,
destroy everything, actually, when you get right down to
but
it.
yeah, but specifically the reason with the whole small farmers is that a majority of their capital is tied up into land and equipment, right? And if they had to like liquidate 10% of that just to pay off taxes, their farm is done.
They said the same thing about a federal tax a long time ago.
Yeah. The war tax.
It'll never happen. It'll destroy everything.
Oh, as I said, an unrealized capital gains tax is the dumbest thing ever on the planet. Because the whole point behind unrealized is because it doesn't exist. You're taxing something that literally doesn't exist.
Yep. So, but hey, you know what? This is justified. This is justified because we need more money for Ukraine. We need more money for Israel. We need more money for illegal migrants. Everybody except American people. Everybody except.
We need more money for a train that'll never be built here in California that you guys will never ride and never take advantage of. But you're going to spend another $6 trillion on this year and probably next year and the year after that for 25 years before it ever gets built.
And fuck it, you can the taxing. Oh, but it doesn't go to the American people. Fuck it, I don't care if it goes to American people or not. No.
Yeah, well, I've always gone on the statistic, and it's changed a little bit based on obviously current conditions and tax rates and whatnot. But the long and short is on the order of if you were to take 100% of everything all U.S. billionaires had, like take everything they own, you would run the government for 8 months. And then what? Right? You got nobody left to tax. It doesn't work that way. There's a spending problem. It's not a taxation problem.
To the average Democrat voter, money is endless. The government can just print it out of thin air, and it just comes, and we just have it. So we should give it to people who need it, shouldn't we? Right? They don't realize that comes from hardworking Americans. They don't realize 30% of their fucking paycheck gets ate up with all of this bullshit that they're fucking talking about. They don't care. No, we need to help people. We need to be nice. We need to be forthcoming towards people who are not American citizens because they're not white. I swear that's the fucking reason. That shit drives me fucking insane, but that's what it looks like to me.
North Korea tested an ICBM.
Today? Just now?
When was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the last 24 hours, yeah.
There's a little saber rattling going on, but as far as that's concerned, I'm more concerned about there's two issues that I think came out that are bigger. One, that aren't we getting North Korean soldiers in Russia?
Yes, we're getting
the Ukraine.
Russia is using North Korean soldiers in Ukraine front. Yeah,
right. And then the other issue is that they're doing something with the roads between North and South Korea.
Yeah, they tore them all up.
And so, yeah, North Korea is definitely saber rattling in a big way right now. What that means, I don't know. But they're definitely wanting to be a player on the world stage.
They're going to keep pushing until the point that Japan just has enough and bitch smacks them. They really are.
But that's probably a reason for the missile tests. It's like, more warning to Japan. We have nukes. Don't mess with us.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that's fucking concerning about that. Not for me is nukes. I don't care about nukes. Not from North Korea. What I care about is the fact that North Korea is China's vassal state, and Japan is ours. And if they start fucking going at each other, that's another proxy war for us. We've got Israel, we've got Ukraine, and now we're gonna have this. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Dude, I've already told you within 10 years we will have another world war, if not before. Might as well just get in the mindset. It's going to happen.
Fuck, man. I just don't want it to. That's all I can
And it
say
doesn't
about
matter who's in office because you have too many actors with too many political goals. It's like World War I all over again.
Yeah, that was so complicated. I still don't fucking understand all of it. Fucking
World War I?
1917. Yeah, 1917. I know that what kicked it off was some Prussian fucking assassin killed some German fucking politician, but it was like, what? Are you kidding me?
Okay, so it basically, it's that everybody had alliances in order to try to keep things safe. So it's like, oh, well, we're friends with these people because we like them, and they're going to protect us against these guys. And it was basically, it's the NATO thing that's going on right now. It's that we're all, all or nothing stuff. That's the problem you get with an alliance like that. Is it's, hey, now all of a sudden you get one bad behavior out there, and now everybody else is like, oh, well, now we have to join in just cause.
But in Europe, you had all these countries that was hostile to other countries and skirmishes.
Yeah.
It was just kind of crazy, and we're looking at that on a global scale right now.
Yeah. So it's worse, right? Like, I mean, you just same thing but worse.
Fucking awesome.
What I
Yeah,
find
and
a
now
little
we
bit
have
more
nukes.
interesting-
Now we have nukes. Everybody has nukes. So great. That just makes it better.
What I find more interesting is World War II, because like World War I was fairly limited for the most part to European and obviously a little bit in Africa and whatnot. And the Ottoman Empire fell, which is what we got now with freaking Israel and whatnot. But when you look at World War II, now all of a sudden it's extended out to Asia, right? And Japan gets involved, right? So, like, if you look at the whole Japan China thing in World War II, that had very little to do with World War I, as far as I know.
Right, but World War II, you were actually talking about expansionism with Japan. Also, Germany's wanting for expansionism across the country. I mean, it is a lot different from World War II.
Europe was in tumult still at the onset of World War II. So World War II was part and parcel to World War I. But
Well, it's. I will say that, like, the thing with Japan and Germany, they were allies more out of, you do your thing, we'll do our thing, right? Because they didn't interfere with each other.
No. They were
didn't-
allies because Hitler wanted a way to pincer fucking America. Is really what it was.
Yeah, they got that.
Yeah.
But America was isolationist for the first half of the war. Remember, they didn't come in until,
And
near the
also,
Battle of Britain.
I think part of bringing Japan in was Germany wanted to use them against Russia as well, and Russia was really the big threat. Like at the time, America was being isolationist. Like we were like, no, we don't want any part of this shit. We did this already. We're not doing it again. And the average American was fine with that fucking perspective up until Pearl Harbor, right? But so I think the Japanese went outside of fucking Hitler's fucking plan a little bit there and fucking went after the America for no good fucking reason. To be frank.
We weren't isolationists. We were more neutral. We were more neutral.
Yeah.
But we were being active in a lot of. I mean, everything from material sales to taking actions against.
We wanted
Japan.
Europe to succeed. Yeah.
Right, but both in the Gulf, not the Gulf, but Alaska. I'm sorry, not Alaska. The Atlantic situation and the Pacific situation, because we were actively trying to counter Japan within the Pacific. We weren't being isolationists.
So think about that though too. So the thing that you run into with the Pacific Theater is that England had a lot of assets in the area. You were talking India, we're talking Indonesia, you also look at Australia, and they were kind of in the thick of it. And so Japan, when they started taking aim on basically Australian and English assets, that's where America's like, oh, hold the phone here, right? You're going after our allies.
No,
This is
we
not a
were
good thing.
no, because we didn't take an active role, as in going to war, until we were attacked.
Agreed. It wasn't until Pearl Harbor, but look at all that happened there. Like the downing of the hood happened before that.
That was in the
9
Atlantic,
months
though.
before
That was
we
the Atlantic.
actually, before Pearl Harbor, the German hierarchy tried to convince Mexico to attack America. It's a fact that very
talking about World
few
War
people
I?
ever paid attention to. And when our government saw that, they go, all right, we have to start looking into this a little bit more. And then the attack on Pearl Harbor. So we had a strong interest. We had a strong interest in the Far East because Japan was becoming very militarized before World War II to begin with. They had already gone into Korea and fought there against the Koreans, South Korea.
We already had troops under, well, not our troops, but we had American trained airmen and different people within China that was already running operations against Japan. And I thought that Mexico, the reach out for Germany to Mexico was actually World War I. That was one of the, because we had a situation where literally we were having, I mean, good Lord, we were just fighting Mexico a couple of decades before.
And then you had this family in Germany called Krupp.
1900s.
And they were buying up mineral rights throughout all of Central and South America.
All connected.
Yeah, it's all connected. It was all intertwined. All the American people get to see in the history books is just the very top of it. That's why I was I really loved some of the teachers I had. This is the book. This is what we're supposed to teach you. Dig deeper.
And why was some of the power vacuums that were going on in South America? I wonder why.
So,
and still are.
Banana Wars, American intervention, even in the turn of the century.
Then it's fair to say, like, one of the things that the establishment's actually concerned about when they look at Trump is the fact that he's campaigning on this idea of no new wars. Because war has been a part of our fucking thing for a long fucking time, hasn't it?
It's funny. It's like no new wars, but a whole shit ton of military operation.
I wouldn't call it a shit ton. I may not know of all of it that occurred during Trump's administration, but what was made public was a lot less than what has been happening under this administration. Can we be fair about that? But
I mean, we've lost 13 during a withdrawal. Publicly announced as in losing for military operation. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't really heard anything on this administration as in losses in Syria and different places where we have troops.
Or what about the billions that we spend in Ukraine and fucking Israel, right? And aren't we contributing to that? Aren't we somewhat responsible for that? I don't know. But that shit wasn't going on during Trump.
We were sending material and different things to these countries. Yeah, we were.
Well, okay. But
maybe not as much, but they weren't at war at that time.
Precisely. And them not being at war is really what the result that we want, isn't it? But
I mean, still sending weapons and different things. There was an escalation during one tenure when there wasn't on the other.
For what reason?
You're telling me that if Russia invaded the Ukraine, Trump would have just sat back and done nothing if it was during his tenure?
No. I think Trump would have
Don't think
acted
so.
swiftly and fucking vehemently, and it would have been awful. But
I mean, we've already heard, and that's kind of weird actually here a little bit back. Well, I'll hit Moscow. Both sides is like the one that's like, it was just funny because both sides kind of was like, oh, we're just kind of going to ignore that. Oh, we weren't going to go to war. Oh, well, he said he'd hit Moscow. Well, he's against the Ukraine, but he said he was going to hit Moscow. I mean,
I don't think he's against
funny.
Ukraine. I think that's a mischaracterization. He's not against Ukraine. He's simply against the war in Ukraine.
War.
And part of
Right,
part
but
of
what I'm saying
preventing
is the
that
way
part
it's
of preventing that
perceived.
heavy is making a real threat that's gonna try to stop them from moving forward. Yeah, I'll hit Moscow. You go after Kiev, I'm going after Moscow.
But it was kind of funny how it's like, he wouldn't do this or he would do this, and it kind of got flip flopped, and everybody just kind of like not touching it.
I don't know what he flip flopped about. What are you saying?
Well, a lot of people are like, if this was to happen, he wouldn't be giving money to the Ukraine. He wouldn't be giving weapons. And I pointed at that interview, and it's like, oh well, that was 2 years ago. And it's like, okay, but still, he said that he would send more equipment, better equipment to the Ukraine than what we're sending currently.
There's a problem in Ukraine, though.
Right, there absolutely
Ukraine
is.
huge
But
problem.
you can't sit and say he would not get involved, that he would pull out of NATO, that he wouldn't help the Ukraine, and then go, well, he threatened Moscow. So let's do it.
No, back up. All right. So Ukraine has been basically the playground for the CIA. They had to protect the assets there, right? To make sure that the CIA had basically a headquarters to do all their operations throughout all of Europe and part of the Middle East. So, when the State Department goes into NATO and says, okay, well, maybe it's a good idea to bring Ukraine into NATO. And it goes against the treaty that was already signed 30 or 40 years ago, right? So Russia has already gone and said, no, if you do this, we will go to war. So what did they do? They started hyping up the hype on media and all across the world. WION, Al Jazeera, everybody's blasting all this out about the U.S. State Department trying to get Ukraine to join NATO. And our media is blank on it, right? Nothing. Not a bloody word is said. And then it goes a step further. They take the government that was there, boot them out, put this absolute fucking cringy comedian in charge of their country because he's easily manipulated. He's looking at personal wealth.
Ukraine
being paid for by the U.S. government through the CIA.
Absolutely.
Then,
I mean, that's counter. They've been countering.
Then it goes even further.
And they were countering the Collective Security Treaty Organization with Russia that was trying to do the same damn thing that they were doing, just in the opposite.
So it's just one big game to protect money and the intelligence community. And what are we doing? We're footing the bill for it. And what are they doing? They're losing lives. And that's the thing that Trump really doesn't like. He doesn't like the loss of human life because of political wars that go into actual physical wars. I don't like it either. You shouldn't either. You're a vet,
I'm not.
right?
I don't like what's going on, but at the same time, I'm not going to be blind to what's been going on.
Plus, it was the biggest money laundering outfit in the whole world was Ukraine. And it has some fantastic assets, resources.
Yeah, bread, oil, for sure.
Natural gas.
Yeah.
Production of fertilizers.
Yeah, a good point right there. Yep.
I mean, ever since the Cold War, and we've been playing this game continually. It never ended.
Yeah, and we saw the results of that on 9/11. It came back to our doorstep, all because of the CIA playing games in other countries.
Serbian wars.
No, the fucking drug
Oh,
wars.
yeah, Serbian wars absolutely was.
North African wars.
Serbian war, the war with that situation had a lot to do, and you literally have to go looking in books. It was about, a lot of it was about control. It was about operations. It was about pipeline that was supposed to be going through there that the country was not agreeing with. And all of a sudden, oh, now you've got this genocide. Pretty fucking convenient.
It's funny how they always think of an excuse to sort of cover up the military operation at the heart of it.
Yep. And sad to say that the opposite of it is not running counter operations to what is being influenced there. May it be the Soviet Union, may it be China, may it be whatever. I mean, what's the opposite of it? Just basically let them roll through. That puts us in one hell of a predicament.
How much control does the president have over the CIA, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about. I don't know. Not enough, I guess.
Kind of boils down to that whole bureaucrat issue we've had for so long. But yeah, I know that there's shit sandwiches everybody's going to have to eat. There's shit that we, no matter how we look about it, there's things that we're not going to like in this world. Because the alternatives are so much worse.
Governing is tough.
Socialism is not the right way. That much I know. How do we deal with the fucking, covert American imperialism? I'm not sure.
Communism. It's a progressive thing.
So here's an interesting question. And again, I think scale is a big deal behind it. So don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. But there is such a thing as shared property. It exists. Like anybody who's been married or lives with somebody else fully understands this concept. Like even if married assets are obviously shared assets, shared things. But even like in a roommate situation, right? Like very rarely do you go to the store and be like, this is my food, this is your food. Right? These are my ice cubes, these are your ice cubes. Right? Like even utilities. This is my heat, this is your heat. So we do have a concept.
Wait a minute. This whole picture you're drawing is based on a flawed premise. I mean, yes, when I have a roommate, I definitely have my food and their food.
You share stuff. I guarantee you share.
Occasionally, yeah, but generally there's like, hey man, that steak in there, that's fucking mine. Don't you fucking touch it. Like there's that kind of thing, right?
Things, right. But like utilities is the better thing. There's no way you don't share heat. There's no way you don't share water.
That's fair enough. A domicile is a domicile.
Right. And so I'm not going to sit there and say the concept of shared goods is universal. I'm just trying to say that the concept does exist. There, you can't always break things into this is mine and this is yours. This is the point I'm trying to get at. So,
But the
we
way that
do
you're
run
getting
into
at it is you're
situations-
talking about a domicile. You're talking about a roof over the head rather than possessions.
air, water,
Yeah.
right? Like trees. So there are shared things in the world. You know, nobody owns a molecule of air.
Okay.
If
So
Then
we
it's in
do
my
have-
lungs, I own it.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it has to get there. But you know, but so um that to me is an issue because there are, I believe, things where you do have to figure out how to resolve conflicts when things are shared. But it generally the exception to the rule, which is why I was like trying to say I don't want to turn a mountain into a molehill. It's like I'm not going to sit there because we have one or two shared things in the world, we should share everything. I'm not going down that route. I'm just going down the route of we do have shared goods and we need to figure out how do we deal with that. Right. And so, you know, so this is a tough one. It's like this is a pain pill I'm having a hard time swallowing at this point. But I don't think that you can get to a point where there's zero socialism because I think you do have to share. Like, I would argue that corporations are socialism, right? Nobody owns a company.
But here, let's go a step further. Is it socialism when you're willing to share, or is it socialism when you're told to share?
I think it's when either, because again, socialism is just group sharing of something.
Wouldn't one be charity though?
Yep.
Charity is something different. Charity is when you're giving something of yours to somebody else. It's not sharing.
Well, hold on. Let me stop you right there. Charity is when you're giving something to somebody else. Or, I'm sorry. No, that's what you said. Charity is when you're giving something to somebody else. That's not socialism.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
That's the point.
But you're also saying that in a company, somehow having ownership is not possible.
Unless somebody has 100%. Yes, unless somebody has 100% of the shares, no single person owns a company.
Okay. But somebody can own the majority of the shares and make decisions for the company.
Sure, but they don't own the entire company now, do they?
Can the state
Even if they have
own it?
controlling shares, they don't
Can
own
the
the entire
state
company.
own it?
That's a good question.
Can a state own shares in a company?
Can a state
Can the
own a
state
company?
own something that, okay, for instance, in 2012, the state of California no longer declared ownership of rain. Up until 2012, the state of California owned rain.
I know, and that's really, really tough too, because you're right. It's like, you know, this water's just falling down on my house, and I'm letting it drain into this barrel, and I'm going to use that.
They own it before it hits the roof of your house or the ground.
Right. And I understand. That's an interesting question on like it
That's
doesn't seem
socialism.
natural,
That's
right? It's
socialism
just
is what Walby's describing as socialism.
Yeah, I'm right. So the everyone owns the rain. Well, up until a point, like, so there's an interesting question, and this is something that happened, like the ANCAP problem, is that if you're willing to take the time in order to homestead the rain and call it your own, i.e., collect it into a barrel, it's collective ownered until you do that, right? So, but that's an interesting question about ownership because if it's collected owner, and then you now just supplanted the will of the collective. Then how did
capturing
you get to
rain? You supplanted the will of the collective by capturing rain. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, Okay, well,
Okay, that's
sure.
fucked. Fuck socialism. That's retarded. That's retarded bullshit. I don't believe that bullshit at all.
No. Is
The
it?
rain comes
So
from
what-
God. The
so
rain
what
comes from nature. It belongs to everybody. Anybody can collect however much of it they want. You're not supplanting anybody's will by collecting whatever it is that you can collect at all. That's retarded.
So what happens if you get
You're not
to the point
supplanting
where you
anybody's
jam
will
up-
by doing that. That's what
Well,
I mean.
I cannot.
You think that
I
until
cannot
to the
just
point.
set up a rain farm, a rain collection system on somebody else's property.
Well, it could still be on your property, but what happens if it grows so large that you're actually subverting like a river or a dam?
Well, one person's property, it'd have to be an awful big piece of property.
There's a lot of people that own a lot of big
And then
farmland
there's
out there.
and see that brings water rights. Farmers,
Right. So,
ranchers.
so what is water rights? It's collective ownership.
And if you make it illegal for a rancher or a farmer to collect water, and then you become so powerful that you can say, okay, I'm going to tax you for the water that falls on your property.
This happened in Lahaina. There was a huge fucking movement in Lahaina prior to the drought and the wildfire that destroyed so many fucking homes in Maui. They were concerned about water reclamation and water distribution and how do we do this in a socialist way that's equitable to everybody. And at the end of the day, what happened is they started reserving water away from communities that were literally burning in the fucking fire and giving them to rich people that were on the coast instead.
I agree.
That's what ends
And
up
that's
happening as a result of
that's
these types of machinations that you're talking about. Is as rich people benefit and poor people fucking lose everything.
Okay, you get the same thing with corporations though too, right? Like, I mean, again,
Well, of course you do. But that doesn't justify socialism above capitalism. In fact, what you're saying is that socialism exacerbates the exact problem that you're trying to highlight right now. Whereas in a corporatist, federalist world, at least the government can say no. but in a socialist world, the government is beholden to exactly this will that you're talking about.
And just wait until you hear about in the UK where sunlight, you have to lease sunlight or have rights to have the sunlight that comes in from somebody else's property.
And California
you have that in
sun
California
tax.
too. Yes, you have that in California too. You can't
California
build
has a
properties.
sun tax. It was one of the things that we were talking about years ago, especially people like me that put up solar panels and stuff and want to supplement my electricity by generating it myself in my own home. So what did they do? They pushed it through the courts back and forth, until they finally found a court that says, okay, we're going to do it through your electric bill rather than just giving you a tax bill for the sun that hits your roof and just is wasted anyways. But if you collect it, then you owe the government money for it.
Jeez.
Like the government owns it before it even hits your roof. Same thing with the water.
There's other issues I've run into too with California. Like, for instance, a big reason you're not seeing a lot of urban development is because people block, hey, we don't want to.
There is no urban development. There is no place for them to build out anymore.
Exactly. Right. Because they prevent people from building up and building out because it blocks views. That's literally the answer, right? It's like,
No. It's because the government wants to own any ADUs that you build on your property. They want you to go through their process, which means that the price of building an ADU would be outrageously high.
Sure.
That's on our ballot this year.
Okay. I'm not
Prop
sitting there
33.
saying.
And Prop 33,
We all agree government
is the government control over what you do with your own property.
Yep, I'm with you. And I was sitting there saying, government's. I'm not gonna like, and I said it. I didn't want to make this a mountain out of a molehill, right? Because that's exactly what ends up happening with government and a lot of structures like this. Is what starts off small and reasonable, i.e., you know what? We should probably share ketchup because it's silly for us to have 2 bottles of ketchup. What starts out small and easy and understandable, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need to share everything in the fridge, and not just
Well, that
everything in the fridge.
depends.
We need to share,
You know,
right? So
are you
that,
going
I
to
agree
open
with you.
both bottles at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you. That's what I'm trying to sit there and say is that to me, that's a problem of government and not necessarily a problem of co-ownership.
Yeah, but co-ownership is an agreement between two people or more people.
Sure.
Government
government.
has no agreement.
It does.
Government just does it.
Well,
There's no agreement.
There's no accountability. Well, there's less accountability, but it's still an agreement, right?
There's less accountability because it envelops a larger number of people. Yes.
Yes, agreed. It got
And
too
then,
big.
and then with government, you have to hire people to legislate and
Yep.
constantly
And they're not
monitor.
very good at it.
So then that ketchup, right? Those 2 bottles of ketchup that you bought for what? $2 each. Now that those 2 bottles cost you $20.
I'm with you. I'm not going to sit there and say government's good. But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about incentives. Like, and I'm with you. When you have bureaucrats that basically have no stake in the game and access to everyone else's money, yeah, they make shitty decisions. They don't govern well. And that, I believe, again, that's why I said it's a problem of government, not shared ownership.
Okay. So then the solution is not to just pass out money from the government, right? It should be to give people the means to an end, right? To facilitate their lives, not to carry them every step of the fucking way, or to pay their grocery bills, or to pay for their housing, or to pay for their education, or to pay for their health care. It should be to facilitate them to have the ability to do that for themselves.
It's tough. So the problem of government is that if we were to all basically make all the decisions all by ourselves, it's why a pure democracy can never work, right? If everybody always had to vote on everything that got done all times everywhere, nobody would get anything
Okay,
done.
so
It's too much
now
effort.
you're arguing democracy versus republic rather than socialism versus capitalism.
Yes, I'm with you on that. I guess I'm more arguing that the problem of government is that we require representation, right, in order to make our lives easier. Okay, so it's more of a question of representation. Like all forms of government boil down to representation. Even a king is a representative of the people. Might be a bad one.
A king
but
is not. A monarchy is not.
Yeah, he still represents the people.
No, he only represents his
represent
own
them well.
interests. The people are there only for to serve him.
If he doesn't do a
That
good
is
job,
the definition of a monarchy.
if he doesn't do a good job of a king, there is no country.
Well, revolution.
Okay, so our founding fathers' argument against that is let's not provide for that possibility.
I agree. I'm not going to sit there and say that all forms of representation are good. I'm just saying that government is about representation. It's that we realize we have to get along, so we're going to give a certain class of people the function of making sure we get along.
Not class.
Sure. Okay, a
Elected.
group of people.
Elected.
Yeah. Well, they're not always elected. Is my point. I guess that's what I'm trying to
government
generalize.
should be elected.
Sure, you would think it should. I think that's always that's worked out better. I was trying to
Otherwise,
make it generic.
the people have no representation.
Well,
They could just appoint anybody.
the argument is that even when you do appoint and you have elections and whatnot, they don't always do a good job at representing, right? Like there was a discussion about, okay, we're going to hire Trump to be the president, but then all of a sudden he can go off and do completely different things than the people actually want, and you got to wait 4 years in order to get rid of him. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, you got impeachment and all this other stuff, but it's
Sure, you have impeachment and all this stuff. You have these methods of recompense, but those don't matter. Right?
Well, they don't always exist in all places. Like I don't know if there's impeachment in. No, there is impeachment in.
Well, you can't impeach.
It doesn't matter.
House
It doesn't matter. All that matters is America.
Or a senator.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can impeach any member of Congress. You can impeach any judge. You can impeach the president. But this is the U.S. system, which I find actually pretty good. I'm just trying to say is that this stuff doesn't apply to all. Like you can't impeach a king. You can chop his head off, but that's probably the best. That's as close as you can come. Right?
I was going to say it just doesn't matter outside of America, outside of the system that our founding fathers developed that we're dealing with right now. The conversation is really kind of
Sure. I was just trying to keep it generic to the point where I was just trying to get the idea that you have to the whole purpose of government is to basically allow people to live their daily lives without having to worry about minutia. Right? That's why government has formed everywhere you get a group of people. It just exists.
Yeah.
And it's because people can't deal with other people on a daily basis if it's just them. Like if you literally had to reach an agreement with every single person you walk by every day, you couldn't live your life like that. That's not possible. Right? Like one of the interesting things about our current system is our road network and how rules of the road work. Like that's a very complicated system, and sure, people still die on the roads out every year and whatnot, but it's amazing what we get done for a system that we had to work out through over time, right? That didn't just
Since 1950
it didn't just right. It had to be developed and improved and whatnot. And so I guess my point being is that government can do some good things. It's just not very good at it, and a lot of times it does a lot of bad things.
Okay, so I think it's extremely telling about your argument that you had to reach back to 1950 in order to find something that the government did good.
Fair enough. No, that's fair. I'm not going to sit there and say, the government's probably done some good stuff lately. I'm not gonna argue that one. I said, I think, but that I guess is just kind of the tough thing is that we still, there's still that that to me is the ultimate problem of government is that we have to figure out how to get along, and it's too much effort to do that on an individual basis. So therefore, we form a representative body to do such a thing, and it's very difficult for them to actually, as I said, it took forever for them to get the road.
The thing is that the government is not a thing that you do. It's not a goal that you execute. Like, I'm gonna go do government right now. You don't do that. Okay, what government does is it facilitates the needs of a society, which the society feels somewhat less capable or incapable of achieving itself. Okay, which is such as taking care of the poor, taking care of homeless people, taking care of disabled people, taking care of veterans, taking care of whatever, fucking migrants who are traveling and are actually legitimately seeking asylum within the United States. These are things that the government should and could and ought to do. I absolutely fucking agree with the principle behind what these ideals represent. What is questionable in the mind of myself and many conservatives and many Republicans is, hey, how are we doing these things, and are we doing them in the most efficient and most accurate way possible?
Yep.
And there are a lot of questions about that. There are a lot of questions about elections. There are a lot of questions about migration. There are a lot of questions about, how we deal with other countries in a myriad of fucking ways. A lot of questions about how we deal with charities in a myriad of fucking ways within our own country. How we deal with election, political action committees and yada 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 on down the line. So we need to be willing to have these questions and have these criticisms of our system in order to make it better, in order to deal with things and to have criticisms and make corrections. And so that's extremely important. And so two things that make that possible are 1A and 2A. And 2A is the one that nobody really wants to talk about, because that's where the people hold the government accountable to their lives, right? So at the end of the fucking day, what you have to deal with is the idea that, the citizenry comes first. The citizenry comes first. At all costs, the citizenry comes first. The citizenry comes first. Let me repeat that. The citizenry comes first. And so that means everybody. That means black people, white people, brown people, yellow people, red people, all of the people. All of the people who live in the United States and are citizens of the United States come first. And then we can start thinking about Venezuela and Afghanistan and Somalia and all these other places all across the world. But the first fucking thing that should be on our minds is our own damn people. And that has become chastised and bastardized and completely fucking twisted by this entire migrant crisis, where we suddenly decided that people who do not belong to this country, who are not citizens, who are trying to migrate here, and God bless them for it. Most of them are probably great fucking people, but we're giving them more than we're giving our own people. And that's where we need to draw a line. That's where we need to draw a line. And so that's where socialism starts to break down, and you start to realize that, wait a minute now, maybe taking care of everybody and having the government do everything for all of us all the time is not such a great fucking idea. And we need to start questioning that. And maybe the government should only try to give us the opportunity to do for ourselves.
The very first line on any application to immigration should be, can you support yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? Ben Shapiro said to IRI. You brought up the IRI thing on fucking Jubilee. What was it Ben Shapiro said to IRI? If they will sign a contract that says, I will not take from any social programs, absolutely. Absolutely. Come over the border. Absolutely. Sign that contract, come over the border. Do not suck off of our social systems. Come over the border, contribute, help us. Make our country better. Don't make our country worse. How is that not a fucking bad thing to fucking say? How is that not a bad thing to expect?
That's why I think what you're going to see, so I say, I think we've gotten to the point where that's, yes, we will be willing to evict many people that are undesirable at the cost of basically naturalizing everyone else.
For the longest time, Australia had a great immigration policy. When you went to visit, vacation or whatever business, you had to show proof that you had a ticket to leave. They actually had recruiters going throughout the world. I remember being at a Rotary Club meeting where one of those recruiters were there. They wanted the best. But now, because of their politicians have gone kind of squirrely,
woke-ass progressive communists,
they have so many problems there now, like so many other countries in the world, with immigration and people that come in there. Now, yes, there are good people there. There are people that came, set up themselves for success in an environment that promotes success. But in this country, the promotion for success is welfare. It's a handout, not a hand up. Things have changed way too much. I have sympathy for these people trying to leave a country where it's brutal. There's the pathway to life is nothing but hardship. But by them not fighting in their own country to make their country better and come here just because it's easy and it's free. No, there has to be a guard at the gate somewhere. There has to be a guard at the gate.
To be a filter that teases out the criminals and the malcontents.
Not just the
There has
criminals. I mean, that is an obvious thing. It's people that, like Australia, they wanted people with skills. They were looking for medical people. They were looking for engineers. They were looking for things that would make their country better, stronger. And we should be doing the same.
Yeah, who
I mean, the Democrats basically expose themselves. Sorry for me interrupting you, EOD. The Democrats actually expose what their motive operation is. We need people to work our fields. Well, yeah. But there's plenty of people out there that are at that point right now because of the economy and everything. They'd go out and pick lettuce, fruit, nuts, even though that's mostly automated now. But they need an operator.
Yeah, it's operator. Which is what's great about technology.
We live in the greatest country in the fucking world. Go around the world. Go to any country in the fucking world and ask people, do you want to immigrate to the United States? Absolutely. Yes. I want to immigrate to the United States. Yes. Let me go. Go to Germany. Go to France. Ask those motherfuckers. You'll get at least half of them to fucking say, yes, I want to immigrate to the United States. So absolutely, I agree with Wobbly. We should have some standards. We should have some expectation. Be a good citizen. Be a contributor. We should have that expectation. And we could. And we'd still meet or exceed our quotas in terms of immigration every fucking year. So, I mean,
Democrats have been trying to convince us that we're all racists and everything. And it's that attitude towards the people of this country that makes people untrust somebody from another country. It doesn't make any difference what color, what culture, what country you come from. They always wind up being in groups of themselves and they don't assimilate. I've lived in countries all over the world in the Far East. I've visited them. I've been there. These are great people. They have a great culture. But they come here and immediately they're given a free handout, but at the same time they're isolated in small groups where they don't assimilate in and become part of a bigger culture. Everybody keeps saying America doesn't have a culture. That's bullshit. We have the strongest culture in the world. We like people. We like to have conversations with them. We like to know who you are, where you come from. We're not a bunch of isolationists. There's no way.
My favorite restaurant's a Mexican restaurant, man. I love it.
Yeah, but those people don't usually succeed very long at keeping people off their lawn. I mean, they're usually the joke of the neighborhood. I live in a community where I'm the only white person other than my wife. And I love my neighbors and they love me. If they don't see me out and about for a couple of days, they come over and knock on the door and ask me or my wife if I'm okay.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, community building is interesting.
That's our strength. That's our strength, this community. Exactly. We build communities. We share when necessary. but we've been told now for too long that we're not that way. And it's convincing too many people of contrary to what it's like. The wife and I tour on a motorcycle all the time, or used to until I got sick.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing. You stop somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden a crowd forms, and they want to know where you're from. What do you do for a living? All this stuff. How long you going to be here? Some of the best memories we have is stopping in these little towns like in Iowa and Utah, and meeting the mayor of the town and all the people there. The people from the tribes are in the bar. There's local people in the bar, and we're just having a great time sharing a cigar with the mayor. I mean, it's a blast. And most people never go out of their little bubble that they live in, and they listen to this freaking bullshit that's on mass media, and they're convinced that everybody hates them.
Yeah.
When it's not the truth.
That's fair.
Yeah, that was my little rant about people are getting tired of the gaslighting.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody's a racist
We know that.
or a Nazi.
Always got to be afraid of the boogeyman.
Yep.
I played a video
Right.
the other day. I forget who it was that did it. I'd have to look back through my lists. It's from Stossel.
I miss him. I haven't seen enough
Crisis
of
is a
Stossel's fucking
business.
shit.
Crisis is a business. Protesters from the Vietnam War, when the Vietnam War was over, they were lost. They had to find something new to turn into a crisis.
So they made it a fucking industry.
And it just led when that was debunked, then they move on to another one. It's a profit model, and people make billions of dollars from it.
BLM. Look at Candace Owens fucking exposing BLM.
Yeah, BLM was mentioned in it. Yeah. And
Bylards
the latest thing is the vape wars, right? Everybody wanted to get everybody off of tobacco.
Now they're
And
going after vape.
they saw vape as an interesting way to do something that was less harmful, but immediately somebody saw a profit model in there. Let's attack the vape industry.
Right.
And they made $330 billion off of that attack.
Wow.
It's a business. And the media, all the media, Fox, all of them are part of that business. They're constantly pushing the negative. They never push the positive.
Well, let me get a cut of that, man. I need some money. So, you know what? Vaping is less safe than cigarettes, so smoke cigarettes.
Well, I'm not going to give up my cigars.
I hear that.
A good cigar, a cup of coffee, or maybe a scotch later in the day, but cigar is always there.
Man, the world is so fucking corrupt sometimes. And it's like, the only thing that you can do, okay, from a governance perspective, is try to give the most people the best possible opportunity. That's the only thing you can do from a governmental perspective. That's actually, how do we call this? Virtuously true, right? Like, good for society, okay? The only thing you can do is give the most opportunity possible. And what the Democrats want to do is instead say these people don't deserve any opportunity because they're against us. They're spreading disinformation. They're spreading misinformation. They're bigots. They're racists. They're whatever. You know, they're somehow suppressing somebody else so that we need to come down on these people in order to give more opportunity to these people. and these second people are more important than these first people. And it's why is that the fucking nature of the rhetoric at this point, when the reality is that all government can do is give the most people the most opportunities possible. It ought to just simply be, hey, companies are screwing people over, we're gonna come down on them. It ought to be, hey, governments are screwing people over, we're gonna come down on them. That's it.
Well, gosh, I fill my stream up with a bunch of news articles, right? Videos and different things that I find. I'll read some stuff. But you guys were talking about the media earlier, and I keep voicing this opinion. Newspapers, radio, television, they should be only 1% opinion. The rest of it should be reporting substantiated facts.
Objective bullshit. Yeah, just
from it,
straight line fucking Walter Cronkite shit.
That's right. If they deviate from it, they should be fined. I mean, they should be literally fined. There's no 230 protection on the bullshit that they keep pushing.
Now, I would agree with you if it was a civil matter, but that's a little tyrannical going if you deviate from this, because...
Yeah, but that's the way it used to be. It used to be that you watch... I can remember growing up and watching the news with my father, and it was, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened.
Right, and that's
it. And that would fill up the first 35 minutes of this news program. And then they bring on a commentator to do an opinion piece. But now it's all opinion pieces. There's no real story behind it. It's he said, she said, blah, blah. It's always second party. It's never the person involved in it. I caught CNN years ago when they first came on the air with this racial hit piece that they did. I happened to be there when it happened. And none of it, what they reported, was the truth. It was just a hit. It was just a opinion hit piece.
Yeah, and what's CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of them, the majority of them are literally, it's not news. It is literally
opinion.
That's it. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah. But if you go in and you tell a business you can't have opinion,
but the opinion, when it's slanderous,
then that goes to the civil, like I was saying.
But people take opinions like it's truth.
Well, that's stupid people.
And there is a lot of them.
There's most,
absolutely.
That's most of them.
Yeah, it's hard. To be fair, it's not just stupid people, it's people that don't have the time to be able to figure it all out for themselves. Like, early on with Twitch, I find this to be true, is that we're not normal people, right? We do this for fun as a hobby, and we spend a lot of time and effort trying to get down to what we think is the bottom of things. And 90% of the world doesn't have that time.
And see, there's the problem. They recognize that. So what's this latest thing that's been happening the last couple of weeks? They're attacking social media. They want to suppress social media because we are digging. We're looking at everything that's coming across our boards. And then we present it and we go, all right, that's wrong. The Constitution says, and you read the part of the Constitution. This person said something that's wrong. And I catch them all the time. I stop the video, or when I'm reading something, I'm going, wait a minute, that's not right. And then I go back and I and I show where it's not right. But media doesn't do that. The corporate media does not do that. They're in it for the money. Just look at the paychecks that these people get and their net worth by feeding crap to people.
Yeah.
It's entertainment, and it's to get ad revenue.
And
And
what's
that's the model.
what percentage of the public now actually trusts media and the news?
Oh gosh, it's fallen
14%?
drastically. Yes,
Yeah, it's
fallen
fallen.
very much, and that's another reason why they're after social media. They want to suppress social media.
But well, sure. But and the thing with social media though a lot is a lot of times you get video and stories without context. And so people
I
see
don't
things.
know. Crowder, the quartering, Tim Pool. I think
you
there's
do
a
get,
lot of
yeah, no,
context in that. Tucker. Oh man, Tucker. Whew. Joe Rogan.
there are definitely
Wow, man, Joe Rogan
Talk
came under a lot of heat after the Trump interview. Whoa.
Oh, he's used to it. At this
All of a
point.
sudden,
I'm
Times
talking
wants
more-
to go after him and using Media Matters, which is nothing more than an extension of the Democratic political arm.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Fucking
it's-
Rogan's
it's-
used to it. Fucking
It's
Carlson.
so
like-
visible to see what they're
Let's
doing,
scroll
you
through
know,
X,
just
right?
trying to suppress the truth.
Yep.
Like scroll through X, and it doesn't take long to run into people just throwing videos out there of, oh, here's a fight that happened at school, or here's a shooting that happened at a store, or here's something bad thing happened X, like somebody gets run over, a gang
But
fight.
there's stories out there like a whole school district that doesn't have working fire alarms.
Sure. I think it's
But-
good that you get.
But why? Why don't they have working fire alarms?
Right, okay, right. But
See?
so that's the tough
Mismanagement.
part behind it is, and we're getting better now. That there's the optimism, I think, in a lot of it too, is that we're getting better with social media. Like instead of just bam, sensational ad with no context and nothing, whatever, you are getting to the point where people are, oh no, this is the news story behind that, or this happened over here, or you know what I mean. You're getting people commenting on these things and filling in the context.
Well, I
And
mean,
think
that's
a good thing.
that's okay. That's the same thing that's happened with news as well. I mean, you'll have like local news, man shot, give just the least little amount of information until later. Sometimes they'll cover it, sometimes they won't. And like with any kind of developing news article or news story, you get the first sensationalized, this happened, and the rest of the story and the facts in the matter don't come for hours,
Yeah.
24 hours later, but we've seen that across all forms.
Yeah,
Social media and, media.
Yeah, and it's tough too. Like I've definitely seen things on local newses where you'll get a story and they don't know have all the facts, and so they don't display it, and then 2 weeks later then they add more, and maybe the story gets changed around a lot, and it ends up turning into a a story used to try to propagandize some particular issue where you're no longer getting the facts anymore. It's
But see, there's the point. There's again, I'll fall back to Crowder and O'Keefe Media Group and stuff. They're actually doing investigative reporting. They're actually getting it, and it embarrasses the mass media so much that they're falling in line with this doctrine all of a sudden that we can't have that.
Right. Because it's exposing the grossly corrupted fucking system that we've been propping up for 20 fucking years now. So, of course, they want to fucking deny it and decry what independent media is doing, because it completely undermines the whole foundation upon which they've built their whole fucking system, their whole system. Right? It's not just one person's career. It's several companies that we're talking about, enterprise level companies, global enterprise level companies. So there's a lot of power to be shifted around in order to try to protect that. You know what I mean? But how are they going to do it? How do they do it? There's a myriad of ways. You know what? Joe Biden wasn't a fucking complete fucking a fool up until the moment that he proved himself to be in front of all the American people in that debate. And then what did they do? They pulled him out and put Kamala Harris in his place. They supplanted him. And
The most unpopular candidate, and only because she's easily manipulated.
yep.
Well, okay. So here's something that I've been pushing out a lot is that look at all the campaign ads that you're seeing around, like give us money, give us money, give us money. In the Trump campaign, who are you seeing asking for money? It's Trump and sometimes JD Vance. For Kamala, who's asking for money?
Tons of people.
Any guesses? No.
My phone is full of these texts asking for money.
But I'm talking about like the major buys. Like YouTube has probably got some of the biggest buys. It's the ads you see on TV. It's the ad buys you see on YouTube. Who's the person asking for money?
Well, you tell me. That's a rhetorical question.
Okay,
Only
no, it's not rhetorical at all. It's frickin' Obama.
The only ones I've seen has been basically DNC members.
It's Obama. Obama is in 90% of those ads. Obama's the one asking everybody for money. I have no doubts. To me, that alone is good enough proof to say that Obama has ran the third term with Biden and is looking to run a fourth term with Kamala. That everybody's like, who's behind the glass curtain? It's Obama.
Mm.
And it's because he's the one asking for the money. Why else would he be doing it?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of different people asking for it. They were all DNC members.
Well, I don't get ads. I don't watch broadcast.
Follow the money. That's
I don't
it.
watch
Follow the money.
broadcast TV.
Well, even the YouTube is doing, like, again.
I don't watch ads on YouTube either. Got
Okay,
them all
fair enough.
blocked.
That's fine. Yeah, I guess you're right. If you're blocking all your ads, you're not watching, you're not seeing it. I'm just like, again, it's, we got 4 days left in the election, and $5 would go so far. Like, you can't believe how much that would be if you could just send in money. And 90% of the ads for Trump, it's Trump saying it, and most of the rest of them is Vance. But 90% of the ads, like every now and then you get Kamala begging for money, but the majority of the biggest person asking for money is Obama. I'm just like, the whole follow the money. Well, it's my guess he's the one running the show.
Go figure. Obama's father was a communist politician out of fucking Kenya.
I still don't believe he was born in Hawaii.
That's what they say. That's all I can go off of.
Yeah. They can say it, but I don't necessarily have to believe it.
His dad was a communist politician out of Kenya. His mom was a communist activist out of Hawaii and a college professor. Yeah. It's a similar story with fucking Kamala Harris. I mean, we got Candace Owens out here hunting down all of the Freemason ties to Kamala Harris's father. That shit's fucking insane. If you haven't seen any of that. But Kamala Harris, or I'm sorry, Candace Owens is convinced that Kamala Harris is a Mason plant. She's some kind of fucking vassal to the Masons, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but maybe a lot of politicians have been Masons. Masonry has a deep rooted history in our fucking political class. George Washington was a Mason, so it's possible.
Oh, a lot of people were Masons,
Yeah,
including my father.
I know. So I find it difficult to believe that Kamala is acting on the Masons' fucking behalf or on their will.
doubt that
I
too.
really do.
I doubt that too. The whole premise behind Masons is enlightenment anyway. So
That seems to be what fucking Candace Owens is trying to fucking portray, though, is that somehow her ties to Masonry are driving her trajectory right now. And I'm like, come on. Some of the shit Candace Owens has been getting into has been weird. It really has been.
you know that Jixer is a Mason also.
Yes, I do know that.
And I was in Demolay, and one of the two wishes my father would asked is that I become a Mason. But oh gosh, man, I don't have time to study. Damn.
I don't know. It's they want money. That's the problem for me.
They don't ask for money.
They ask for a little bit. You have to pay dues every year.
It's not that much.
It is not significant. That is true. But if I'm going to pay money to somebody, I want to know who they are, and they won't tell me unless I join. So.
Well, when you put in an application, they send a couple of people there to interview you. That's part of the
two people. You need two advocates. Yeah, you need two advocates. But...
Yeah. And they want to know about you, your education, your religious affiliates. And there's a stumbling block for me because I'm not religiously affiliated.
It's not a stumbling block. I think they're secular.
No,
they try
it's
to
not
be.
really.
They
It's
try
not.
a lot, but they do end up being
do
associated a lot
myself a
with
traveler.
Judaism or Christianity. They really do.
I do consider myself a traveler.
I still say you're a Buddhist. I think you're a Buddhist, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, in a way, Hindu, maybe. Yeah.
Well, do you eat beef?
I've that's the thing is traveling all over everywhere. I have, and being a humanities student for 2 years in high school, and the opportunities to learn about other people and their cultures and how their culture developed and what were the influences in it and everything. It's just part of the education that I put myself through.
Yeah.
It's been good. Actually. I know what the Bible is. I know what the Quran is. I know what all of them are. The scriptures, I know them. But, geez, I mean, I don't like fanaticism. That's the thing. Because when you become a fanatic, you turn everything else off.
Right.
Too hardline.
Absolutely. That's very true. I try to be critical.
That's why I'm look,
things.
I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump because of policies. I voted for Trump because I kind of like it.
Yeah. Like his attitude. His attitude is relatable.
I like the fact that he doesn't take shit from anybody.
Exactly.
Trump is highly entertaining. That's what's so great about it. It's like,
Yeah.
how much boring Twitch debate do we have when Biden was in office, right? Trump's in office. Oh my God! Every panel is entertaining.
Indeed. Because he's such a controversial fucking figure, and he speaks from the heart and doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks about what he has to say. And I think that's admirable, especially coming from a politician who measures every fucking word that comes out of their mouth with a fucking precise little fucking compass or whatever. The problem is, most of America is driven by a Christian moral ethic. I think that's fair. I'm not going to say everybody, but I think most of America is driven by this. And I think that the foundations of America is driven by this. And I think that to deny that is folly. I think you're shooting yourself in the foot to spite your face in order to say that America doesn't have to be Christian. I think it does to a certain extent in order to exist in the ethos that the founding fathers envisioned. You know what I mean? Despite the fact that not all of them were Christians, there were.
That's fine, but there's plenty of people out there that are backsliders, right?
What do you mean by that?
Use the old Baptist term, backslider.
What's backslider?
Mormon term also. Churchgoer by name alone, just
Sunday Christians.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunday Christians.
Okay, right. Somebody just shows up just to say that they're Christian and then not be Christian.
Yeah,
but it doesn't discount the nature of the addedness. Okay, so the addedness is this principle in Greek mythology that defines the ideal man, right? But no one in Greek society was as admirable or fit as the addedness, but that was what they tried to achieve, right? So I think that's the same principle here. Like the ideal Christian is just something that we try to be. It doesn't necessarily represent what we are. It's just something we try to be. And so as long as we have that standard, that ideal, that precipice to strive for, we are an admirable and fruitful society. And then the minute that gets knocked down, that we no longer have that aspiration, what are we? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like what are we striving to when we say that men should compete in women's sports? What are we striving to when we say that we don't have a border? What are we striving to when we say that everyone in the world deserves all of the rights that are bestowed to Americans? We're saying that we don't exist and that we don't matter, and that what we're talking about is some kind of moral fucking platitude that doesn't actually exist or doesn't actually mean anything. And the process of achieving that particular goal, what we're gonna get is a vacuous, a spineless country that's gonna get overthrown by China in like a week. So we need to be something. What is it going to be? And should it be what our founding fathers defined in the first place? I think so. Or should it be some vacuous idea that we can't define about socialism and communism and helping each other through government that ends up destroying our economy, and our standing in the world? I think that's a bad idea. So we should stand on our principles. We should be Christian. We should have morals. We should know men from women. We should have a country with a history and an idealism that defines what we think freedom and liberty means. Beyond the government reaching into our lives to help us out of our adversity. No, the government should only stop corporations from preventing us from achieving those goals. That's it. We should strive and achieve those goals on our own. That's how I see it.